Hey everyone, welcome to BrickVault. I'm Keith, and today we're going to be reviewing a Lego modular building, the Pet Shop. The size recommended for ages 16 and up, it's number 10218, and it comes in at 2,032 pieces. Alright, so it's a decently big set, and I have my work cut out for me, so let's get started. Alright, so now that we have everything in front of us, there's about 15 bags in total, marked 1 through 4, as well as a couple of green base plates, some gray ones and a black one, and a very giant manual. Not sure if there's stickers in this one yet, since we can't see it until it's opened, but I'm really looking forward to building this, so let's get started. Okay, so the set is complete, and now we have in front of us two separate gorgeous looking buildings. Honestly, I think the main reason why I like these two buildings so much is just because it gives us more residential modular buildings to work with in a Lego city. But before I just jump into showing all of the interior work, let's focus on the exterior. Starting on the third story from the leftmost building, there are a handful of features that stick out to me. On the very topmost portion of the roof, we can see the beginning of a chimney, and working our way down ever so slightly, we can see this really nice curved edge window alongside dual French doors. And above it, I do really appreciate this old-fashioned green and gray striped canopy. And we can see the clever use of some brown flower pieces to give more accent to the building. Working our way down to the second story, we can see the beginning of this very nice curved window, but honestly, this window pales in comparison to the one next to it. And just speaking in general, I really like how it adds a lot of character to the overall look of the building, making it look very similar to a New York-style brownstone townhouse. And now that we're at the first story, we can see how that 3D window connects with the two upside-down curved pieces to form the base. And right next to it, we can see a nice classic green door alongside a red mailbox. And above the door, we can see the clever use of some old ski pieces. The dual railings leading down the sides of the steps don't look too bad either. Looking at the back side of this building's features, there's not too much going on. We can see from the topmost story that there's a green door that leads out to an adorable looking little garden. And looking at it from this angle, we can see these orange and blue transparent bricks, which I can only assume are supposed to represent some sort of a stained glass window. Looking at the second story, there's not too much to show. We have a few really nice looking windows, along with a flower box. But when we move down to the first story, we begin seeing even more details. Here we have a simple black door that leads to the back portion of the townhouse. On one side of the steps, we can see a simple looking trash can, while on the other we see doors that lead to a storm cellar. Well, that about covers all of the exterior features of this nice townhouse building. Let's move over to the right so we can see the Pets building. When we look at the detailing of the roof on this Pets building, it's a little bit underwhelming. We have a simple chimney and also a very nice skylight, but that's about it. Moving down to the third floor, I gotta say that I really like that staggered look that these angle pieces make for the roof. Moving down to the second story, I really do like these line indentations that are formed on the outside of the wall, as well as the use of these beige windows. But the first story, in my opinion, has the best detailing of all. First off, we can see this really cool use of white and blue tile pieces to create the pet store sign. We can also see the use of a gray frog that was supposed to create the molding for above this doorway. Honestly, the two dual glass windows that we see here, one of them being the door actually, and another one being the window, look really excellent. We see another old-fashioned blue and white canopy above the window portion of the storefront. And below that we can see a couple of sales bins, one of them holding a red rubber ball for playing with your pet, and the other holding a couple of bones for a dog. Switching around to the backside of this building, there's not a whole lot going on. We can see some simple windows on the third story, and some bigger windows on the second story, but when we get down to the first story, we can see a simple brown box that I'm assuming is meant to hold some supplies that are already stored inside, and a decently sized bucket with a comb inside of it for washing animals. So now that we've covered the exterior features of both buildings, let's take a look inside. Lifting off the top of the roof, we can see that there's the green door that leads out to the garden outside, and also that stained glass window. Turning the building slightly, we can see from the inside the French doors being opened, and they're pretty nice and easy to access. Looking at the other corner of the room, we can see some simple storage boxes, possibly from a move, or maybe there are more seeds to plant outside in the garden. And then finally in this corner, we can see the beginnings of the corkscrew staircase that goes all the way down to the first floor. Lifting this story off, we can see an even better view of the corkscrew staircase. The curve that they achieved with that corkscrew staircase is just simply amazing, but turning the building over to the side, we can see this flat white tile piece that's supposed to be the starting of a paint renovation for this floor. Judging by the progress of things, it looks like it's gonna be a while until this room is move-in ready. Near the front, we can see that nice box window along with the curved window, and also the landing that leads down to the next floor. Speaking of which, let's go there now. Here we can see that the corkscrew staircase has finally met the ground floor, and turning this building around we can see the simple black door that leads to a bathroom that looks really nice with those tile pieces. And here we can see the back door that leads to the outside area of this townhouse. Moving along the next wall, we can see that this cup on this coffee table lifts up to reveal the entrance to the cellar beneath. There's a simple ladder that leads down to the cellar, but overall, it's not stocked with anything whatsoever. It's just simply a little bit of extra space. But while we're still on the first story, take a look at that nice couch. With all of those tile pieces going on and the curved pieces, it looks really nice with the dual coloration of blue and black. And that blue and black paint scheme can be found on this table next to the couch. I also really like that transparent Lego minifig head that's being used for the vase. And one of the last details for this story is definitely that hat rack. It definitely adds a very real feeling human element to this whole thing. Unfortunately, the cellar section of this building is not modular, so I ended up having to pry it anyway so you guys could get a good look inside. As you can probably see, it was a bit of a struggle, but I did manage to finally pry it free. Looking inside the cellar itself, you can see that there's not a whole lot of detail going on here, and I don't think that there's meant to be. Really, this is just a sort of storage area or a safe place for if there's a storm going by. But all the same, I'm glad that this building has one anyways. So now that we've had a more in-depth look at the interior of the brownstone building, let's move along to the pet store building interior so that we can see what's going on in there. Starting on the top of the building, we can see a nice enough looking skylight with a very simple chimney. Taking the roof off of this building, we can see an awesome looking bungalow with a single minifig bed and a nice looking nightstand with a lamp on it. And here's our resident top story minifig about to try out his new Lego bed for the first time. Literally speaking, the minifig itself doesn't fit too well on the bed just because of the placement of the studs, but it does look nice. I especially like the use of those white curved pieces to give the illusion of folded sheets. Taking off this section of the modular building, we can see an awesome little kitchenette, complete with its own oven with stovetop burner and a pan, and also the transparent viewing window to see whatever you're making, and a small sink next to that, along with an awesome looking little coffee pot. And just when you thought this room couldn't get any cooler, we see an amazing looking fireplace. On the opposite wall, we can see a very small table with a yellow mug on it and a tiny stool, along with a clock that's mounted on the side of the stairway. And here again, we have our tester minifig so we can try out that awesome new little single seat. And I probably should have mentioned, we have arrived at the pet shop itself. And here we can see that amazing glass door that leads out to the outside. The glass door and also the glass window just look amazing together and look very much like what you would see for an old-fashioned storefront, which really makes me wish that LEGO had made a sticker advertising the store on the window. Looking closer at our two birds here in the storefront window, they actually have some really nice coloration going on with the mixed green and red. And here I am trying to pry loose some of these supplies so you can see them closer and fumbling up a little bit. I'll try going in for that again. Now, this surprises me a little bit because most of the things in the stores have been made very easy to access and modular so you can just lift them and show them off to your friends. But this shelving unit here has been nothing but difficult to pry off the wall. Moving on, the register itself is pretty nice and easy to lift off, and we can see inside that it stores a $100 bill. Moving on from that, we can see the cage that houses the cat. The LEGO cat itself is pretty adorable and looks like it's about to pounce on something, although I'm not sure what since it's all alone in that cage by itself. One of the things that I do like about these pet cages are the small transparent windows that allow both the pets and small children who would be seeing them to see one another. Turning the building just a little bit to the right, we can see that black door that leads to the green grass outside. But right next to that door, we can see what is my favorite part of this entire set. It's a modular small fish tank that has some really nice background details that look like seaweed, or other plant decorations that you would typically find in an aquarium. I wanted to come around this side of the building again just so that you could see a closer look at the dog itself. It's a really nice mold for a pet, and although the German Shepherd might not be everyone's favorite dogs, I like him well enough, and I think it looks really nice in this set. Alright, so I think that just about covers it for both buildings as far as the exterior goes and the interior goes. Let's take a closer look at all the minifigs. Now, all of the minifigs in this set have the same simple but classic looking yellow smiling face, and the man here, otherwise known as our tester minifig, has some very nice printing along the front and back portions of his torso, wearing his sweater and undershirt, along with his gray khakis. He also has a pretty decent hairpiece that goes with this entire look. And here is our lady minifig, and I've got to say that the front and back printing for her dress looks very nice and eloquent, although I'm not really sure why they chose to give this particular minifig pants, rather than going with a typical slope mold so that it could mimic the look of a dress. We can also see that she has a very nice free-flowing hairpiece, parting down the right side of her shoulder. And one last oddity that I would like to mention is that it appears that her arm pieces as well as the pants themselves are printed in the burgundy color, while as the dress itself is printed in that bright red. I don't know about you guys, but to me it looks a little bit jarring. Up next we have our Handyman minifig, and the printing for his coveralls both on the front and back look really nice. We can also see some good button and stitching detailing, as well as a couple of nice clips for his suspenders. He comes with a white hat, which goes for his overall simplistic look. After all, these clothes are made for getting a little bit messy. And lastly, we have our kid minifig, and she's printed with a decent enough looking sweatshirt, with nice looking front details, and along the back we can see the start of a hood. And she also comes with these purple pants. So now we have all of our minifigs together. And now I've got to say that looking at these two buildings from the front, they just look absolutely incredible. Out of this entire building's features, I've got to say that the MVPs here had to have been that awesome 3D box window that we saw coming out of the right side of that sandstone building, and that awesome looking storefront with the plate window and glass door. Both of the buildings looked really great and each of them had all of their unique features. But funny enough, the two buildings did share a lot of characteristics, such as the old-fashioned striped canopies and the chimney tops. And if we're talking about the best interior features from both buildings, one of my favorite rooms had to have been the one that was currently being renovated with the paint, and then also the small apartment with its own kitchenette, dining table, and fireplace. The pet shop really was a fun build, and I can see how it would add a lot of character to the overall look of the city, seeing as how it not only has the pet shop, but also gives us a lot of residential space that citizens can live in. And here it is, fitting next to the town hall. It has a couple of Technic pieces that allow it to slide in and attach quite easily. And now that we have these buildings moved in finally, they all look really great together. And here from the backside of these buildings, I've also put the LEGO store and relocated it along the backside so you can see the start of what's going to be an alleyway. But even though the city is filling up a little bit more with these new buildings induction, you can see that we still have quite a bit of empty space. So I'm going to take this time now to ask you guys, what modular building do you think we should build next? We're going to try building one of these modular sets once a week, and I know that the city is going to look even more amazing with all of these buildings installed. So thanks again for watching this, and if you enjoy our content, as always, please leave a like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.